for these very colorful and detailed overview about different projects and your experiences, and also some of the challenges. We're now turning online to John Queen, sort of as the Chief Executive Officer of Berezan Port. John, I understand you have slides, and are we operating them from here, or?
I believe you're operating them from your side.
Yes. Okay. So if you just tell me next slide, and I will click it through.
No problem. Well, I appreciate everyone being here this afternoon. It's a pleasure to meet you all virtually. As they've mentioned, two of my colleagues are here in attendance, so we're happy to have any discussions with anyone afterwards or during the reception as you see fit. I'm sure today you've listened to a whole lot of information about the challenges and the needs. I think my role in this presentation is also to talk about the opportunities, because when we talk about the reconstruction of Ukraine after the war, we're not just talking about building it back the way that it was, or restoring kind of critical infrastructure to necessary elements of business or vulnerable elements of society. All of that is absolutely required and necessary. But I think it's important not to lose sight of the fact that we also have the opportunity to build a completely different economic future for Ukraine and Ukrainians and the European continent generally, as we look to the post-war period, which hopefully will be in the not altogether distant future. So I'm going to talk a little bit about one of the most ambitious projects in Ukraine from an infrastructure side, the Berezan port project. And I want you to imagine, while I'm talking about it, a world in maybe the medium-term future where Ukraine is past the war, is now entering into the European Union, or is very close to that. And you're looking at how would you like the world to look in terms of business, in terms of infrastructure, not just internally in Ukraine, but regionally? Where would you like the destroyed manufacturing and infrastructure capability of Ukraine to be built? Does it make sense to be far away from intermodal ports, or does it make sense to be in specialized intermodal ports that are best in class and with complete modernized technology and infrastructure? Well, this is what I'd like to talk about today. So if we can move to the next slide, I'll get into it. So the Berezan port project, which I'm talking about, we're really talking about an intermodal industrial hub. And what that means is we're talking about a hub with sea, land, air, and rail capabilities. And next to that is going to be a large tax-advantaged industrial zone, which I'll get to at a later slide. So we're talking about kind of a combination of business logistics and industry. And so the location of this will be on the Black Sea. In the Mykolaiv region, there's an area called the Berezan River Estuary, which on the following slide, which we'll get to in a second, I'll break down kind of where that is located specifically. But the project itself, we're talking about a privately owned and operated intermodal hub of sea, land, and air logistics at a big scale, centered around Ukraine's largest deep sea port and tax-free industrial zone. So it will be one of the Black Sea's deepest ports. We're talking about a 20-meter depth, which allows it to serve the largest Cape-sized vessels for shipping. And the idea is for this port to play an integral future role in the Black Sea region shipping transit world, and also in the large-scale production and shipment of agricultural and industrial products, and also oil products, before and after Ukraine's anticipated EU integration. And the key to this is not just the port and its strategic location, which I'll get to in the next slide, but also just to reiterate the fact we're talking about building a multi-thousand acre tax-free industrial zone where you can put the business next to the shipping. And this will help restore Ukraine's industrial production capabilities that have been destroyed by war just due to the fact of their traditional location near the Russian border. And this will allow us to rebuild and relocate in a way unconstrained by Ukraine's Soviet past. So we could do the next slide, please. So just briefly, if you look on the graphic on the left-hand side, you'll see the port, and on the right-hand side is a blow-up close-up of the port, where it shows we're talking about 10 port terminals, 25 kilometers of berthing, and this estuary, which is in the top left side, is about 50 kilometers from major cities. And again, we're talking about Mykolaiv being one of the nearby cities. If we were able to scroll up, Mykolaiv would generally be up to the upper right-hand side of this estuary. And we're talking about the port being able to service pretty much everything that you would want a world-class Cape-size port to service, everything from general cargo, vegetable oils, agricultural products, metals and mining products, and petroleum products, liquefied petroleum and natural gas. If I can go to the next slide, please. When we talk about the industrial zone, which will be the heartbeat of this port, we're talking about 4,090 hectares, and for my American colleagues, that's over 10,000 acres of tax-advantaged industrial zone located right next to the port facilities. It's adjacent to it. So we will have a special free tax regime that will allow manufacturers located in the zone to produce and ship their goods without import and export taxes. And this regime will be developed and introduced by the government of Ukraine based on the best available practices of free trade zones. And this is an ongoing discussion that we have. As I'll discuss at a later slide, we actually have an agency within the Ukraine government that's tasked with this port project, and one of the representatives of that agency, I believe, is at the meeting today with you. So because it's an intermodal industrial hub, we're talking about a railway terminal, cargo terminal, a cargo airport terminal, and of course, kind of the trucking and land logistics nearby. We can do the next slide, please. So in terms of the big picture overview, if we look at this from a 20,000-foot level, we're talking about a 4-stage project that is estimated to cost roughly $800 million. We have a detailed feasibility study done by KPMG for this project. It's been mapped out. We are also working with Jacobs Engineering, who spoke earlier today on the technical aspects of the project and feasibility. If we look at these 4 stages from a business perspective, we are kind of currently at stage 1. Due to the kinetic nature of the war, it's obvious that we are not looking to break ground on this. And as my colleague from Logush has aptly put out, it's very difficult to bring construction teams, nor is it safe necessarily to bring construction teams to sites to break ground in Ukraine right now on large infrastructure projects. So we are in the planning and technical feasibility study stage. So this is stage 1 of the project. Once we pass this stage, we will enter the main project construction and initial operation stage. This will be after the war has reached a ceasefire and hopefully a strong resolution. And the second stage of the project is a much larger CapEx. Obviously, we're digging and building, so that's going to be roughly $590 million. Stage 3 will be construction of the industrial park. That's actually going to start partway through stage 2. And the estimated total build out is 5 years, almost 150 million. But we will again twin track this. There will be things in place during stage 2, and so we'll be able to launch and get this project operational in a logical way, and not just have things, different steps constrain each other. And then the stage 4, which is a continuous expansion of the project. Because we're located 50 kilometers from any city, we have plenty of room to expand. And there's a lot of different ways this project can go. And that's one of the nice things about this project, is we're building in an area that's not already a dense residential zone. During the Soviet times, a lot of the ports were built right where the cities were because they wanted people to work on the ports, but that doesn't necessarily make sense. If you were to sit down with a blank slate and say, how would I want a large industrial port to work? You'd probably want it with area to expand. It's in a specialized area where everybody there is focused on industry and not various aspects of city life. The next slide, please. So again, if we picture the world where Ukraine is in the EU, and even if it isn't, if it's just a closer partner, we're talking about extending the Trans-European transport network, which is a main shipping route, and we would view ourselves as being kind of a key part of the Black Sea to Baltic logistics route, giving further access to the Adriatic Sea. And just to summarize what we had kind of discussed with bringing maybe some of the bankability estimates into it, we're talking about a CapEx of just south of $800 million, according to KPMG estimates, talking about a payback period of 10.1 years, according to the KPMG model, and an IRR of 16%, again, according to the KPMG financial modeling. We have about a 60-page report that's available with an NDA for those who are interested, and we have a project teaser, as well as government support letters that are available without an NDA for those who are interested to take a look. So after we reach the project reaches its maximum loading rate at the 4-stage build out that we're talking about roughly 28 million tons of cargo traffic per year, with the goal of reaching up to 100 million tons per year as we continuously expand in stage 4. Next slide, please. So the current state of play, we have an established state entity, the Berezan Marine Industrial Cluster within the Ukrainian government that has been tasked with supporting the project's development, including legislation and regulations for taxation, permits, import-export issues, and environmental considerations. And I believe that Mikola is in attendance today for those who would have questions about that. As I've said, KPMG has completed a detailed commercial analysis report on the project. This is available with an NDA because there is some sensitive information there. We do have a teaser that's a 6-page kind of condensed version of it that's available without an NDA, freely available. We're working with Jacobs, which is a large international engineering company whose representative spoke earlier today, to develop the technical and environmental side of the project. And we are in preliminary discussions with DFC and other groups for political and war risk insurance and potential debt finance. And they are available to speak together with us to potential investors. And what we're looking at right now is actively partners and investors who would be interested to do commitments at stage 1. And we're talking that about the pre-feasibility and planning stage. So we are looking for partners. We have a Ukrainian project sponsor in the form of Sunpro Group, which is one of the leading sunflower oil producers in Ukraine. But we are looking to expand our team, and we would love to speak with anyone interested to learn more about our project. If we skip to the next slide, please. And this is how you can get in touch with us. So if you're interested to see a short video about the project, you can just, you see the QR code there on the screen. Maybe this will be available later by video or by replay. And I'm always available. It's very easy, John with no H at berezanport.com. We have our website, berezanport.com. And again, we would love to speak with you if you're interested to learn more about our project. And we're happy to talk about our vision for Ukraine post-war and how it can really change the economic outcomes, not just for Ukrainians, but for people regionally. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John, for this very impressive overview of a very ambitious project that has certainly the potential not to just be locally important in Ukraine, but reach well beyond that. You raised a couple of points, actually all of the